Hello, everyone. I'm Charlie Forrest, and welcome to the Tonight Show podcast for today, the 24th of September, a day earlier due to tonight due to other commitments. I'm playing squash up in London, so it's going to be difficult for me to get home. So I thought I'd go live tonight. It is the 24th of September, live on YouTube with the Tonight's podcast. I'm joined by late party supporter Zach James around all latest news. Hello, Zach.
Hello, Charlie.
I have a great show tonight. I have motorsport, politics, sport. It's going to be a wild show. So for the next hour or so, we'll keep you company and go through all the latest news. Now, I'm going to start with our planks of the week. My plank of the week this week is the easiest decision I've had to give this week. It goes to McLaren. Now, I am getting to a point where supporting this F1 team is very, very difficult because the race last week was absolutely dismal. It was an absolutely terrible race. The whole weekend, qualifying, Lando did not make up for Oscar's crash. Oscar then crashed after a few corners in the race and had a jump start, and then Lando just got stuck in a DRS train. And yes, obviously Max Verstappen won the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, 2 wins in a row, 69 points behind with 7 races to go as we go into Singapore. There is talk of Max coming back, but it's looking very difficult at the moment with 7 races to go and it being a more technical track. But McLaren had a shocker. The pit stop as well for Lando was very poor. Again, 2 pit stops in a row, 2 races in a row, McLaren pit stops have been bad again. And, seeing the news at Silverstone, which I'll come on to later, where I'm going to share my experience about going to the track, was nothing short of terrible. So McLaren win my plank of the week this week. Zach, what's your plank of the week this week?
I'd kind of give it, actually, I was thinking this actually, just on top of my head. I'm actually going to give it to RFK, Robert FK Jr. The McLaren
I
one's
think
a
I know
legit
what
one.
this is to do with now.
I know this is what to do with. So, this is the ludicrous so-called claims this week that they've been making that paracetamol can cause mum's autism. It is the most delusional and unscientific crap that I've heard. They make it sound like it's a disease that causes mental illnesses in people in America that causes the newborn baby, that sort of thing, when it isn't. This is the most delulu so-called claim of science that from them. Who Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who was a conspiracy theorist, has claimed the vaccines don't work and everything like that. I mean, I mean, let's not take a guy from that. Even Wes Streeting twice called out Donald Trump this week. Twice. So it looks like the UK's government is starting to get a little bit testy. Well, some members of the UK government are starting to get a little bit testy with the Trump administration. One of this, paracetamol safety is obviously when mums are pregnant. They don't call it paracetamol in America; they call it something else. But when mums are pregnant, they tend to. What happens is they obviously experience a bit of pain. It's understandable, so they need to take paracetamol to obviously reduce the pain. And yeah, it is still there. You just don't feel it, basically. But yeah, this new sort of claim now that the cause of autism is caused by paracetamol early on in pregnancies is a complete lulu lala from the birds, and scientifically has no evidence. In fact, they did a test in this in Sweden, if I remember rightly, and it shows that there was no clear cut evidence or no real actual linking between this paracetamol and autism. So yeah, I have to say it's nuts, and it quite frankly, it is scaremongering. It's scaremongering from American government. I'm glad the UK government have said something about this. Not only that this week as well, but obviously on the fact that Trump thinks that London's going to implement Sharia law, which is complete puffle. And yeah, it's just been a complete nightmare week. I mean, it's not given a good name for the so-called leader of health in America. Um, yeah, it's just a load of nonsense. So Robert FK Jr. Um, gets the plank of the week for me.
Well, of course, I saw this go. I'm not going to comment on this. I'll leave that to the public to comment in the comments below what you thought of the comments regarding that. Now, moving on to the next bit of news. Now, Zach, what was your take on the Prime Minister's address the other day here in the UK, Sir Keir Starmer, about recognising Palestine as an independent state?
What do I think? I think it's the correct move, if to be honest. Based on the conditions set, um, we're not the only country that's doing this. We should remember that there's many other countries that do this. So this is not a surprise. It took I think we've taken our time a little bit on this. I think we could have done it a little bit earlier. But yeah, the UK recognising Palestine as a state now. They've got opened their new full embassy in the middle of London as well, with the Palestinian flag on it. I have to say, it's. I think this is now important that we've recognised this. And for me personally, because not for me personally, but I think for many people personally, because look, negotiations aren't going anywhere. They may have been worse over the last couple of weeks. With what's happened in Qatar, the war still continuing in Israel and Palestine as well. There are Gaza cities being demolished by the Israeli government. They are still bombing camps. That includes young children. There is still an absolute famine crisis in there as well. It's the right, because Israel. I mean, both sides, Israel and Hamas, are making things worse. Obviously, Hamas obviously are continuing to hold people hostage in various places across Gaza, and that's just not fair, and that's disgraceful. And they need to give up full. That Hamas really needs to get. I just need to put their weapons down and not bother anymore and disband, or it should be destroyed. And it was Israel continues killing innocent children, girls, many people that do not deserve to be killed deliberately. I have to say as well, and it's shocking how what's going on there as well. And negotiations are going no forward. So I think now it's the right place. And Israel, it looks like, going to make things worse if they attempt to even annex parts of Palestine as a revenge plot. I mean, you can say goodbye to the Abraham Accords if you even do that with Saudi Arabia, even any normalization deal. You can say goodbye. Yeah, you can stay to lots of diplomatic ties. Really, it's just what Israel's doing just is mugging countries off now. I think many countries will say that obviously Hamas is a terrorist group, but they also know as well that Israel is not conducting this war in an absolute fair manner, far beyond it. They're conducting it in a really human suffering level, and they're contributing to it as well. So I think it's the right move to recognise the state of Palestine across its 1960s borders.
Well, that was the latest news there from the Prime Minister. Also, as well, this week, Zach, there's been some news about, I believe, Habish Kabuto. I think there was apparently a migrant that got jailed for 12 months for apparently harassing, was it a 13 or 14-year-old girl in Epping? By the way, this is illegal immigrants, by the way.
Yeah.
There's still a huge number of them coming in. And also, as well, there's been, obviously, some of these have been put in prison, some have been deported. There's been a few deported from what I've seen on this new one in, one out policy. I have to say, though, Zach, the situation for illegal immigration has been very concerning in the channel. And, you know, I heard the other day at the UN 19 Nations, there was a big summit the other day, I think, of world leaders. I noticed that Donald Trump spoke about immigration and climate change during that speech, and he told world leaders to do more on these certain issues.
I think some things you may say has a point in immigration, but some of this stuff was just. I mean, I'll get onto that in a minute. But actually, I'll just get onto that in a minute. But yeah, let's talk about obviously let's deal with the illegal migrant. The one. So this is the migrant. This is the illegal migrant that caused all this uproar in Epping in the first place, having to do with hotels and that sort of thing as well, and the bell. So this is the illegal immigrant that basically, yeah, he was the one that was accused of sexually touching inappropriately and harassing a girl. 13 to 14 years old as well. Very, very serious murder. He was found guilty in the courts, and this obviously the last week he's had he's had his sentence revealed. So it's 12 months in prison for this. I mean, it sounds like a very light sentence on it because he may not even serve half of this in prison. He may well be released on monitor and obviously that sort of thing as well. But it sounds like for me, from what I'm reading though, is that after the 12 months is done, that the British government do actually want to deport it, the immigrant that did this, which I think is the right move, and I think he should be deported for his deplorable crime as well. So yeah, I think it's obviously, it seems a bit, on the first thing to say is the sentence does seem a bit light, and there were a few things that the judge, I think, that made his sentence a bit shorter, but I still think on paper it is a little bit soft. But I'm glad if the UK government do intend to deport him, and I hope he do, because that's necessary as well. Now, the other thing I have to say is obviously we just mentioned as well the Trump stuff. Is that he did tie me obviously this speech. And again, to the UN, again, it's a load of rambling nonsense. Obviously, the immigration stuff, they have some legit points. And there's no surprise about that. But then he was talking about wind, climate, or everything like that, windmills don't. I mean, it's just unscientific, again, unscientific nonsense. And yeah, look, we're on a big green move in the UK, which I think is a good thing, because I don't think we should be relying on like fossil fuels all our lives. And anything, we should not be increasing fossil fuels. We should not be scrapping green projects that contribute to lower costs, because actually any non-green path is just increased costs for consumers here in the UK. So I think that's one thing. But yeah, it's just the usual Trump rambling nonsense of winds and everything, like windmills causes everything, death and everything, the birds style, whatever. And then we had, some. Again, Nigel Farage is also part of the problem here, because I can link this as well. He was going around claiming on NBC this morning. I mean, some of the stuff he said was complete barrage of just diabolical, really crap, shall we say. There was he accused European migrants of eating swans from royal parks. Now, remind me where I've heard something similar. Eating animals to, immigrants as animals. Oh, yes, I heard Donald Trump mention that before when he famously said the debate with Kamala Harris that migrants and Hiles are eating the cats and eating the dogs. Now Farage has accused migrants of eating swans in Royal Park, but I believe there's a statement from the Royal Parks that says this is not true at all, and this should be completed as such. And I think it's right that we should treat this utter nonsense with contempt. It's the same level of crap that you hear from Donald Trump and everything like that. I mean, again, Farage's appearance this morning on LBC was again pretty terrible overall, and it doesn't make Reform look a bunch of amateurs and just childish online right-wing lunatics anyway. So yeah, a lot of things on the migrant front. I mean, the numbers are still up high, and that's concerning, but yeah, what a load of gibble.
Well, maybe Shabana Mahmood's certainly going to be having a word about that, or whoever the foreign secretary is. I can confirm it is a serious issue and needs tackling immediately. Let you know in the comments, guys, what you make to the current illegal immigration crisis. Now, moving on now to the sports news. I'm going to start off with the football, where we have, I believe, Carabao Cup action on tonight as well. Also, as well, we have action we had action at the weekend in the Premier League football, where I'm going to go over the results now quickly, and we'll also update you on the this weekend's match day. Arsenal 3-0 winners against Nottingham Forest. Oh no, sorry, it was match day 5. Apologies, that was the previous match day. Liverpool 2-1 winners against Everton. Another late goal in the Liverpool game. Winning very late on again. They have now won all them. I think they're on 15 points from what I understand as well. So Liverpool 2-1 against Everton. Burnley and Forest was a 1-1 draw. Brighton and Tottenham was a Desmond, aka 2-2. Crystal Palace beat West Ham as Graham Potter's reign as West Ham manager looks tantalisingly like it's going to end very soon if they keep losing, unfortunately. Leeds 3-1 winners against Wolves. Manchester United won 2-1 against Chelsea, despite both teams getting red cards. I believe Chelsea had a goalkeeper sent off. One of the matches had a goalkeeper sent off. Fulham 3-1 winners against Brentford. Sunderland held Villa, despite getting a red card for Sunderland there, to a 1-1 draw. Bournemouth Newcastle was a stalemate, a goalless draw, and Arsenal Man City was a 1-1 draw. Then the matches after that weekend, next weekend, or this weekend coming, Brentford Man United are at 12:30, and then you got 3 o'clocks, Leeds Bournemouth, Chelsea Brighton, Man City Burnley, Crystal Palace Liverpool, Forest and Sunderland are at 5:30, 8 o'clock Tottenham Wolves. Sunday we've got Villa Fulham, Newcastle against Arsenal, and then the Monday night football will see Everton take on West Ham at their new ground. So they are the matches for match day number 6. And also we have action as well. I think Arsenal and a couple of other teams at Tottenham are playing tonight in the Carabao Cup as well. So Zach, a busy weekend of football and a lot of draws in the Premier League.
Yeah, very busy in the Premier League, as you mentioned there. You've gone over the fixtures. My pick of the games, obviously, there's a few picks of the games we're looking forward to this weekend. Obviously, Newcastle and Arsenal probably the big match of the weekend in terms of picks. And there's no big 6 versus big 6 matchup this weekend. But I mean, it's obviously an opportunity for some of the sides to do an upset. We may get to them as well. Brentford v Manchester United, I think, will be a good tie as well because Brentford know how to get an upset. Between some of the big 6 sides as well, which I think is I think it'll be a good matchup. Certainly that one. Their away form is not brilliant, but obviously home and against big 6 sides, they're normally pretty good. So I think that'll be a tasty matchup as well. Yeah. Crystal Palace and Liverpool. I think that'll be a fun one because that's obviously a rematch of the Community Shield. Chelsea v Brighton, I think it's going to be pretty good as well. And then Everton West Ham is the David Moyes reunion, which is that's going to be a fun one. But let me just take you through the Carabao Cup action this weekend as well. There's a few matches. I'll also get to the other football as well in a minute as well. But yeah, overall, let me just go through some of the results that happened yesterday. We've gone. There's been matches obviously last week which we've gone through, which I won't repeat again. But there were a few surprises, I have to say. Wolves beating Everton. Actually, it's Wolves' first decent result, 2-0 victory overall. Chelsea were behind Lincoln City at one point, then got 2 back in the first half to win. But Brighton won was, wow, I have to say, that was a thumping and a half. 6-0 against Barnsley as well. Burnley knocked out. Premier League side is there's one knocked out against Cardiff City. Wrexham going through to next round against Reading after beating Reading. Liverpool 2-1 victory over Southampton. Now there was a bizarre one where I think it was Hugo Ekitike got a red card, well, a second yellow for taking his shirt off after the goal, which you're not allowed to do, by the way. It's quite clear that he got a yellow card earlier and just decided to do the silly thing, taking his shirt off. I mean, that's lack of self-awareness as well. So it was a really silly mistake on his side of things as well. Huddersfield, just go through some of the results at the moment as well. It's full time in 3 of today's 4 matches. Manchester City through against Huddersfield quite easily. Newcastle with a comfortable win against Bradford 4-1. Tottenham weakened Doncaster 3-0. And Arsenal are about to go through against Port Vale away as well. So that's the one. So that one looks like Arsenal going through. The 4th round draw is taking place about 8:20, 8:30 this evening. 20 past 10, apologies. I've lost track of time. That the fourth round draw will be tonight. And I just want to go through, Charlie, with you the Europa League ties tonight because there is Europa League action
Yes, I
where
believe that is
Nottingham
coming.
Forest.
I think that's coming up over this week.
Yes, well, there's matches
There we
tonight,
go.
and there's matches being played right now, actually. So Nottingham Forest and Celtic are in action tonight, and I just want to say at the moment, as I'm watching this, it's now 2 against between Real Betis and Nottingham Forest. Now, Forest have been 2-1 up most of the match, but Real Betis just scored. Have been good in this second half, and they've just scored as well. So there's 3 minutes to go. Will we see Betis manage to get another last minute goal to win the tie? We don't know. Celtic against Klenda Zarenka, aka Red Star. It's 1-1 against that match at the moment. So it looks like both the British sides there are going to be drawing at this rate. Tomorrow, there's more action tomorrow. Rangers will be home at Genk, the Scottish side there, and Aston Villa do their return to the Europa League against Bologna as well at at Villa Park tomorrow as well. Yeah. Also, I just want to go back to the Premier League because that's pretty. I just want to mention some results. Man United v Chelsea is probably the easiestly best game of the weekend, no doubt about it. That was chaotic. Both sides got red cards. Robert Sanchez, the goalkeeper for Chelsea, got a red card after 5 minutes for a blatant denial of goal scoring opportunity. Pretty chaotic match. But yeah, very fun overall. And there's more action this weekend.
Yeah, that's the football done. Now it's time to go over the F1. And, well, can I just say it was chaotic. Well, chaotic DRS train qualifying. We had the most red flags, I think. I think it was the most red flags in qualifying, from what I understand.
Yes,
like
correct.
4, 5, 6 red flags or something. It was chaotic from the qualifying highlights. Drivers crashing out, hitting the wall. Charles Leclerc, Oscar Piastri crashing out. And I thought a few other drivers had issues with their cars. But the F1, was won by Max Verstappen and Red Bull. He's done the double. Again, he won for the second straight race in a row. As I said, I believe he's 69 points behind with 7 races to go as well. Obviously, the McLarens did not wrap the Constructors' Championship up. Lando Norris could only manage 7th position in that race. But there was highlights in that race for sure in the results for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Second place went the way of George Russell. Can I just say to George Russell, he had a great weekend, despite not feeling. Let's be honest with you guys. George Russell came into the weekend, didn't attend media day due to having sadly a bout of the flu. Can I just say, commend him for his drive, second place. Despite not feeling well all weekend, great drive from him. Carlos Sainz was third in the Williams. Williams' first podium since 2021. Wow. What a turnaround by that team. James Vowles should be very, very proud of that result. The fact that he's come in and turned that team around from being backmarkers, the ex-Mercedes chief strategist. Great job by James there. Carlos Sainz saying it was his best podium ever. I agree. What a great qualifying as well from Sainz as well with the changing conditions. Antonelli got a better result in 4th. Liam Lawson, who done a great qualifying, 5th, his career best in F1 in 5th there. Yuki Tsunoda gets a 6th place, 8 points, his best result for a while. And then comes a very disappointing result for Lando Norris. What could have been a chance to take some huge points out of his teammate in the World Championship, Oscar Piastri's crash. He could only manage 7th. Then the 2 Ferraris of Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc finishing 8th and 9th. Ferrari struggling once again with strategy and just overall pace. And Isaac Hadjar took the final point for Racing Bulls. Then we had Bortoletto, Behrman, Albon, Ocon, Alonso, Hulkenberg, Stroll, Gasly and Colapinto. Colapinto, unfortunately, Alex Albon got a penalty for colliding with Franco Colapinto. And then, as I mentioned, on the bottom of the screen, about a 42 race winning streak, a huge winning streak for Oscar Piastri. Could have broken a record for the most finishes in a row. The World Championship leader crashed out on the first lap of the race and got a jump start. And when I heard that, absolutely devastated to hear that news. McLaren had a shocker of a weekend. Very, very bad. The team should be ashamed of themselves for last weekend. Shocker. Absolute shocker. Everything just loads of mistakes, and they just got the pit stop just went so wrong again. So, Zach, what was your assessment of the Azerbaijan Grand Prix?
Yeah, again, it was a week to forget for McLaren, no doubt about it. But I'm not sure if it's dramatic as people are making it out to be. It was quite bad. I mean, also Piastri was awful, no doubt about it. And he's not obviously this awful, but yeah, he crashed in qualifying. He crashed at I mean, I don't know what it was a very uncharacteristic start. Norris, I don't think it's necessarily all his fault. I think you could say qualifying was bad. Mistake for him. That was very bad, costly. But the race in itself, he got just stuck in that DRS train. And I think it doesn't help as well that the team screwed a game his pit stops. Again, it's not his fault that because of the pit stop. It's the team's fault, and no doubt about it. I've heard all this suggestion that Max Verstappen's back in a championship race. Maybe, potentially, but I still think it's an incredibly long stretch for him to be winning it. And then we're going back to circuits again that's not necessarily going to suit that Red Bull. I mean, Singapore, for example, isn't going to necessarily, I don't think it's going to suit the Red Bull because it's a very high downforce circuit compared to Azerbaijan. And it's going to probably bring the likes of, I don't know, potentially Mercedes back into it, maybe, depending on the car. I think, yeah, it might be that, we could see it again, might benefit Ferrari. Who knows? I think Red Bull will be slower. I know they've got a better new floor, which probably helps a little bit, but I still don't think they will match the McLaren across Singapore overall. So, yeah, I mean, they might have a better opportunity to say, like, Circuit of the Americas, for example. Maybe Mexico will be a little bit different because that's a hotter environment. But nevertheless, as well, I still think it will be, whilst Max is sort of creeping in there and there's always a DNF possible, I still think McLaren can be favourite. They can wrap up the constructors next race, no doubt about it. But like again, I think I still in my mind think it'll be one of Max. I'm sorry, not of Oscar or Lando to win it, and the gap's closing now. I mean, Lando it could have been a big opportunity overall, but I think in my mind, yeah, it was a poor weekend overall. I mean, great weekend for Max Verstappen. He dominated, complete domination. I mean, that was easy once he got a pole. Well done to George Russell. I mean, that is a master, as you mentioned as well. He's been ill all weekend, and somehow he just pulled it out of the bag. I mean, incredible stuff as well. I mean, shout out to Liam Lawson, by the way, and Carlos Sainz. Carlos Sainz, you just shout out on the most because he got second qualifying. Third in the race. I mean, that's sensational. Kimi Antonelli was a brilliant fourth position as well. He's been a little bit of a struggle over the last couple races, but that is a great result for Kimi Antonelli. Liam Lawson should be proud of the fact that he held that DRS train really well as well. Yuki Tsunoda was an impressive result as well. I think one of his best so far on that Red Bull. Lando 7th, Lewis Hamilton 8th, Charles 9th, Isaac Hadjar again sneaking a point in as well. But yeah, really not great weekend for McLaren. Good one for Red Bull. Again, constructors can be won, but next time round. But yeah, I have to say it wasn't the best weekend. But I think the over exaggerations are. I know people feel the pressure of wanting to do better, but I think as well again, I think it's a bit over exaggeration. I think they'll hopefully be back on form next race as well, but they need to sort out the pit stops. I do agree with you on that one.
Yeah, long shot of the championship, certainly going to be interesting. We go to Singapore in a week's time on Sunday, so it'll be a very interesting race. No race this weekend as well. And also, Zach, as well, the F3 feeder series wrapped up the other week. I believe F2 is still racing, and we have a new champion in that again, another Brazilian.
Yeah, another champion indeed, another Brazilian. I mean, these Brazilians were getting a a good run for their money, I have to say as well. I mean, with them, I mean, they are shoring up, I think, in what they're doing as well. Um, yeah, Roman Carriera is the championship winner of that one. Congratulations to him as well. It's a huge Rafael Carriera, yeah, for Brazil. I mean, huge result for him. Another Brazilian on the top. Now Brazil, I think, are back in this series, hopefully as well. But and obviously talking about Brazil, Felipe Drugovich is moving to Formula E now next season as
Yes,
well.
correct.
Yeah, so that I mean Brazil's on the move. I mean he's been a little bit wasted, bless his heart, on the sidelines. I mean he always deserved an F1 seat, but yeah, he's obviously had to sit on the sidelines on this occasion. But yeah, no, I think it's good. Well done to well done. I think it's a really good job for Rafael Camaro.
Well, that's all the latest motorsport news this week. Thank you for that. Now it's time for a musical interlude now. And this song is an absolute classic, but reworked. It's Michael Bublé with Sway. We'll see you in a few minutes' time.
When marimba rhythms start to play, dance with me, make me sway. Like a lazy ocean hugs the shore, hold me close, sway me more. Like a flower bending in the breeze, bend with me, sway with me. And when you dance, you have to bear with me, stay with me, sway with me. Other dancers may be on the floor, dear, but my eyes will see only you. Only you have that magic technique. When we sway, I go weak. I can hear the sound of violins long before it begins. Make me feel as only you know how. Sway me smooth, sway me now. Other dancers may be on the floor, dear, but my eyes will see only you. Only you have that magic technique. When we sway, I go weak. I can hear the sound of violin long before it begins. Make me feel as only you know how. Sway me smooth, sway me now. When marimba rhythms start to play, dance with me, make me sway. Like a lazy ocean hugs the shore, hold me close, sway me more. Like a flower bending with me, bend with me, sway with me. When we dance, you have to win with me, stay with me, sway with me. When marimba stop to play, hold me close, make me sway. Like an ocean at the shore, hold me close, sway me more. Like a flower bending the breeze, bang with me, sway with me. When we dance, you have a way with me, stay with me, sway with me.
That was Michael Bublé with Sway. They're a cover of Dean Martin's original 1954 track there. Classic song. Zach, what did you make to that?
I mean that's classic Bublé touch to a cover there. I mean it's typical Bublé.
Yeah, beautiful cover. Always a fan. Get the Michael Bublé always out at Christmas. Coming not far in a few months, he'll be out again at Christmas. So I'm sure we'll be cheering you guys all up. Now it's time for Conversation Street tonight. Now I'm going to talk about something. First of all, about what I went this weekend. Now, last weekend I attended the British Touring Car Championship, but at a new location. I went to Silverstone for the first time last weekend, and honestly, guys, I really enjoyed it. Now, you know, going to Silverstone was really interesting, not for an F1 weekend. We're going to come on to the F1 in a minute because I want to talk about ticket prices for next year's race. But £27 for museum access roving grandstands at Luffield, Copse A, and Woodcote. That was a really good deal, honestly. Like, you get British F4, Porsche Carrera Cup GB, Porsche Sprint Cup, which used the like the 911, the Caymans, the GT4 Caymans, I think, in that one. And also as well, you get loads of loads of like feeder series, loads of like support series in it. You get about 3 or 4, a mini challenge as well. There's so many series, and you get like 11, 12 races. And for the price of £27 on the Friday, it was Saturday, it was an absolute bargain. And you know, for an F1 ticket, which I'm going to come on to in a minute, it was a really good deal. And I have to say, I stepped into that museum on Saturday. God, that felt weird. I sat and there was this car. I went into like you start off with like this. You go into this like big room. So I don't want to give any spoilers if anyone's attending the museum, but you basically go to this big room and you like have screens next to you and it like emulates racing. Then you go in, it talks about like the history of Silverstone's venue. And I sat in this car. Now, Zach, I'm sure you'll be able to back us up with this because obviously you attended the British Grand Prix. This car I sat in, it was an old racing car, wooden steering wheel. And honestly, I couldn't even barely fit in it. It was so small. Like, it was really, really bizarre. Like, it felt like the car had sawed my legs in half. It was really, really, it was like basically an old F1 car, an old racing car from 1940s and 50s. It was nuts. But just seeing the whole history and then going downstairs and seeing like the whole F1-y bit, like Jackie Stewart talking about doctors, like driver safety with Sid Watkins as well. You know, one of the doctors who you know, helped save the lives. Silverstone's medical facilities being like one of the best in the world, apparently. It showcased technological innovation and technological advancements over the years in motorsport. So, and also to see BTCC exhibitions as well. I think it's a great series to watch, the British Touring Car Championship. I know Nick Hamilton, Lewis Hamilton's brother, had a little fire the other day. He escaped the car, thankfully. But you know, I really enjoyed it, and you get some great views. Trust me, guys, the views from Copse look cool, actually, from Copse A. But you know, Luffield, where I sat most of the day, you got a great view down Wellington Straight. Great overtaking opportunity actually coming down into Brooklands and Luffield. Just seeing the cars come through like the F4 qualifying was really, really fun. So yeah, I mean, Zach, obviously you went to the British Grand Prix last year. I mean, obviously your experience would have been a lot different to mine. Obviously, I only went for a little championship event. I am going back next. To all the listeners, by the way, I have an announcement to make. I am going back in August next year to go to MotoGP for the first time, which will be fun actually, because MotoGP is the world's premier motorbike racing series. You might know Alexander Rossi, Marc Marquez, Alex Marquez. I think it's Marc Marquez's brother. They compete in that series. They actually have some great racing in that. I watched it the other day. It's quite fun actually. So yeah, certainly MotoGP I'll be attending next year. Probably Friday or Saturday, possibly a Friday ticket. I've got that all confirmed. Parking was not that expensive. I got free parking with the last one. So yes, I'll come on to the F1 prices in a minute. But Zach, obviously, you know, you went to Silverstone. Obviously, your experience will be different to mine. But Silverstone, just to sum it up, it is the heart of British motorsport and the home, really, of some big motor racing series in the UK and certainly across the world.
Yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed it. I knew you would kind of enjoy it as well. One thing I really enjoyed, again, I'm sure you back me up again. I obviously been in that museum,
yeah, definitely
as well. It's fun. It really is, as well. And it's a fabulous place to be, in terms of just viewing things and all that sort of thing as well. I'm thoroughly enjoying there. And just viewing all the history and all that sort of thing as well. You obviously, being at the BTCC and being a Saturday, obviously, that I have to say, looking at it, I have to say as well, the thing is you got a nice cheap ticket. It's £27. Again, you tend to see a bit of qualifying for the support races action on the Saturday, so quite cheap for what it's worth and understandable. But yeah, I mean it's quite good money. I mean, with the Raven Grandstand as well, I think that's pretty decent.
Definitely.
From what it's worth as well. So yeah, no wonder why I think it was quite good as well. Obviously, I brought mine from when our time went to the Grand Prix last year for obviously £600, and I got an allocated seat for the Sunday. Roving stands Friday and Saturday. Obviously history as well, but bloody hell, it's worth it at the end of the day for me. I really did enjoy it as well. So yeah, I have to say it's always good. It's great to attend.
I think the one thing that Silverstone do, which I like, particularly for these smaller events, and to anyone who's watching the show who doesn't want to go to an F1 weekend, try these events out. The BTCC, they go to so many tracks. Some people go all across the country for that. They go up to, some people go to Knockhill. Some people, obviously, I go Brands Hatch quite a bit to watch it because it's my local track. And, you know, it's affordable. I mean, I paid £27. Roving grandstands at Silverstone. You know, you can sit basically wherever you want. And it's great. Honestly, it saves a lot of money when you can purchase grandstand tickets. And, you know, I mean, I'm going to come on to the F1 in a minute because, you know, I have been hearing stuff about the F1 for next year's race. And I'm sorry, guys, but, you know, I spoke to Silverstone at the weekend. I asked how much the tickets were, you know, because I was having a debate. I want to go to the F1 next year. And I mean, I won't be doing all 3 days because it's a joke. But I want to show you guys the prices for next year's British Grand Prix. I have the tickets got released last week. Here we go, guys. So I'm going to now show you the tickets for the British Grand Prix next year. Now, can I just confirm this will be a sprint weekend because F1 have announced Silverstone will be part of the sprint weekends next year, which means there will be no roving grandstands for any of the days. Can I just confirm MotoGP, where I'll be going, there will be roving grandstands on Friday and Saturday. So I think the other part of the tracks at Hamilton Straight A, Vale, some of the other parts of the track will be open. But just look at this, okay? This is general admission. This is just to get in, by the way. Thursday, 50 quid. Friday, Thursday evening, 50 quid. Thursday, if you want to go all day, 70. Friday, 99, 149. Sunday, 299. 3 day, 339. 4 day, 369. By the way, if I click on more info, that shows you where you can go. You've also got General Admission Plus that gives you like different viewing spots, stuff like that as well. It also gives you as well, like where the general admission areas, so like all the blue lines there. You can see. I've actually heard Vale Bank's meant to be a good spot if you're on general admission, which obviously you won't get a grandstand, but Vale Bank, I've heard you actually get some good views of like cars coming to Vale also as well. Somewhere up near Village Corner or Farm Curve, there's like a little bank up there where there's stages as well, and a little area at Luffield. There was actually, when I went to Luffield Grandstand, there was actually a little viewing area in front of the Luffield Grandstand where I was at. I wasn't at Luffield Corner, but Luffield Grandstand at the top. There was like a little viewing area you could see. Apparently it was quite restricted when I stood there to film the minis. It was quite restricted. So, yeah, not the easiest place to get footage if you're down the bottom. If you raised up, and then obviously I sat on an uncovered grandstand, so it was raised up. But they're the general admission. Obviously, next year's event, the grandstands are going to be, you have to pay for them because it is a sprint. Now, let's go and talk about the grandstands. Okay, here we go with the tickets for the grandstands. So let's start with Lando stand. Obviously, expanded for 2025, 2026. 3 days Lando stand for £539. £569 for the 4 days in attendance. I mean, that is very, very expensive. I mean, look, people will certainly want to wear his Lando merch for £569. Now, the grandstands. This is where a lot of people on social media have been quite critical. I'm not going to lie, guys. When I saw these prices at the weekend, I thought to myself, what was going on here? So, these are the grandstands on the right. let's look at the prices. Abbey A. How much
Well,
is
I was
Abbey
last
A
year.
all weekend? This is an uncovered grandstand. Okay, by the way. Let's go to tickets. Let me select Abbey A whilst I'm here. That's how much Abbey A costs altogether for the whole weekend. You can see £189 for Friday, £709 for the 4 days. And then if you're obviously doing for the weekend, it's £679 for Abbey A there as well. If I was to choose another grandstand, let's say where I sat, for example, Club Corner, I believe, is actually sold out as well, from what I understand. The next grandstand ticket, let's do Luffield. Luffield and Luffield Corner. Let's do Luffield where I sat. That is £679 for 4 days, £649 Friday to Sunday. Now this one, Hamilton Straight B, that one is £199 for the Friday. If you're doing 4 days at Hamilton Straight B, that's, I think, an uncovered grandstand, £769 for that one. And then you have Hamilton Straight A, which is the undercover one opposite the pit building. That one, okay, and I quote you this now, that is all sold out 3 and 4 days. I believe the actual prices for them for Sunday, £849. And I think for the weekend, it got up to nearly 1,000 for Hamilton Straight A. That is the undercover grandstand opposite the International Pit Building. That is an absolute... I mean, goodness me, I'm paying all that much for just what to go on Hamilton Straight. I mean, that's a joke. And nearly £1,000. And also as well, car parking, I think, was £120 at Silverstone, or I think some people are paying near £150 for the parking. So you got to add the parking in, you got to add the grandstands in. The fee for the grandstands are crazy. I mean, look at that. Hamilton Straight A, £849. And then, obviously, you know, you've got the View, you've got Stirling, Woodcote as well. Woodcote A, Woodcote B, Village A, Village B, Vale. That's another grandstand. £639 for 4 days at Vale. £479 for race day. The View, which is an uncovered grandstand. I think that's like a special one. 3 days. That is also very expensive as well. I mean, you got to forget that these grandstands are so expensive. And then also, not to add as well, you then got to buy drinks, food. If you're camping, that's another fee on top as well. Or hotels, you know, parking. You're looking at spending more money at Silverstone than you would be flying to Spain or somewhere for a week. I mean, it's very, very expensive. I mean, Zach, obviously, I mean, the tickets, I've just gone through some of these tickets, and they are a lot of money. I mean, it's clear to me inflation certainly doesn't help.
Well, I don't think it's nothing to do with inflation. I don't think it's that. Obviously, I mean, yeah, things are cost all of means more everything like that. I can't think you blame inflation for everything. But the Abbey A grandstand I've just seen there as well. My one we got ours for like 650 last year, so it's gone up by like 29 quid, I think. For the 3-day one, which actually, if you think about it, and given the fact there's more going on the Friday and the Saturday, that's not bad. I mean, it's only gone up by like 29 quid. That's actually quite good. So yeah, I mean that's quite affordable when you think about it as well. If you went like it was 650 last year, 679. It's actually not a bad price when you think about it as well. So yeah, I mean it depends. I mean some of the prices definitely gone up, but that one's not as bad as people are making it out to be. I mean, yeah, okay, the parking ones have gone up, which is a bit crazy. They obviously feel like they need to charge more for that, but blimey. Otherwise, I think it's around about the same things as what we saw last year, just a little bit increased. But the fact they got a sprint as well, yeah, obviously it's going to be a lot more popular And it's going to add value to it. So there's obviously going to be a price rise anyway for that because you got the additional sprint qualifying on the Friday, you got the sprint on the Saturday, you got 2 bits of racing action rather than one. So yeah, I have to say as well. Obviously, talk about things as well. The rovings on the scrappage of the roving grandstands. I actually think I don't know from this from previous experience last year. I actually think it makes sense for this because I know what's going to happen is that it's going to be incredibly more popular on the Friday now because there's sprint qualifying rather than just a normal practice session. That's going to attract a few more casual fans. And roving grandstands are a bit chaotic on the one hand because then people get in one area and then they can't then have to walk around all the other way to find their seat to find another seat, and it's difficult. Then it just causes mayhem because people then don't get the seats that they want. So yeah, I actually think scrapping roving grandstands for this sort of thing is actually the right move. Some might not like me saying that, but I think it's exactly the right move because it means that the people where you sit, you are sitting, and that's a good thing. You don't have to get right about finding somewhere else to do. You know where you are, and for organisational sake, that is so much better for the steward, for like the volunteers and the staffing trying to find people's seats. It's so much better.
I mean, you know, it's a massive venue. I mean, like, what? It's 3.6 miles the track. It's massive. Like, you know, you're walking around the whole circuit. I mean, I was there on Sunday. I'm not going to lie. I went, obviously, with the BTCC being slightly different, I actually got access to the paddock. Like, I actually went literally into a garage. Like, Accelerate, Virtue Motors had a garage that we literally went in. And we, like, saw them working on the cars. Like, it was sick. It was crazy. Like, you know, you go out and Brands Hatch, they've got a tunnel that blocks it off. So you have to go in I went into like the paddock area and I saw Jake Kill, I saw Mark Blundell. By the way, Jake Kill's left leaving MB Motorsport at the end of the season to race elsewhere. But that was insane. I mean, just looking at the MotoGP, obviously, you know, any of the listeners who watch this podcast watch the series live on YouTube, and obviously, you know, in general, the MotoGP. Okay, let me show you what the tickets for this, because I mean I'm going I'm going for this next year, okay, which obviously it's the British round. I mean, look at this, okay, Friday the tickets for MotoGP £25. I mean, look, compared to what was it, £99 for a general admission F1 ticket, and then if you do say Saturday, that goes up to 45, Sunday 84, 3 days, 104 quid. And included with that, if I click the general admission, which gives you general admission for that, they're the grandstands that you rove in on the Friday. So Friday, Abbey B, Beckett's, Club Corner, Hamilton Straight A. Saturday and Sunday, Abbey B, Hamilton Straight B, Vale, Village A, Silverstone 6. I don't know what that grandstand is, but you know, that's different. But I tell you what, for £100, okay, I think that they were a bit more expensive on the Sunday. That's not a bad price. I think for an event like MotoGP, that is actually not bad, considering, you know, it's obviously one of the biggest motorbike championships in the world. And, you know, these events attract so many people. And I think, you know, having, I mean, look, I do like having the right. I mean, roving, yeah, for some events, I'd say with the F1, probably it's chaotic. But for smaller events like MotoGP, I mean, like, as I mentioned there, you know, with the grandstands available. So obviously Hamilton Straight has got cushioned seats. Some of these smaller events kind of do, I suppose, track less tourists, and some people might want to change over to different grandstands, particularly Hamilton Straight, because you've got to think that grandstand, it has the cushioned seats, and in all fairness, it's more comfortable for people to sit on them.
Yeah, I mean, I think I have to say as well, I mean, obviously, the prices are there as well. MotoGP are probably a lot more cheaper because when you think about it, it's not as on a popularity level. It's nowhere near F1 and everything like that. I mean, yeah, it's a primary like motorsport thing in the world, in terms of bikes, but it's not as going to be on as popular as, say, you know, an F1 or something like that. It won't attract the fan base. So there'll be a lot more tickets for that cheaper than that. And then £25 for one day yeah, that's all right. But then again, you're not getting all the racing and all that sort of thing as well. It's just practice at the end of the day. I mean, obviously F1 attracts a load of different fan bases as well, the different ones as well. So yeah, I mean, it's a little like comparing. It's a bit like comparing oranges with bloody bananas. So obviously F1's going to be more expensive and all that sort of thing as well. But I think the pricing's fair for what's worth.
And I think as well with the F1, I forgot to cover this. With the parking being so limited for F1, you know, people have been having to do park and ride and stuff to get to the track, and that's another logistical thing. You know, the park and ride. I mean, Zach, obviously you camped last year, but some people who didn't have camping had to get the park and ride or who couldn't park at the track. And I bet that can get very chaotic, especially when you pick peak crowds.
No, not really. I mean, I didn't use the official park and ride, I should mention. Because we used one that's provided from the campsite that was done, which I guess was good value for what it's worth. And it got us to the circuit, so that was all right. So I don't really know what the park and rides are like really for the official ones that they use. I imagine they got quite a lot of buses running, so I don't know. I mean, may or not be chaotic.
It's one of them things. I mean, that it's an interesting discussion. I mean, the F1 tickets are, you know, I have been posting a lot about these because, you know, I just go to when I went last weekend, I was just like, I want to go back I want to go back and, you know, this circuit. I'm not gonna lie, this circuit is an amazing track. I mean, it's a historic circuit. Hosted the first ever World Championship Grand Prix back in 1950, and you know, it's just such an iconic circuit. And you know, F1 obviously is its main draw. You know, but other events. I mean, Zach, there's so many other events Silverstone hosts that you could say are worth attending on the calendar. I mean, they don't just host the F1. They even do like a Christmas. They even do their own lap of lights where people get to drive the track themselves.
Yeah. I mean, there's loads of stuff. I mean, yeah, they're not obviously popular as others, like the MotoGP and everything like that. I mean, this year, it really didn't have the best ticket sales because of where it was scheduled in the calendar. They stuffed it in May. It's back in August because they probably realised they didn't sell anything like that as well. But yeah, I mean, it's not just the F1. There's others as well that can't really name on the top of my head. But yeah, they've probably got all nice cheaper prices and everything as well, which is good for that sort of series. It's not the appropriate one, but yeah, of course, F1's going to be more expensive. It's a much more bigger sport. It's diverse fan base and everything like that as well. It's got massive audience, so of course it's going to be incredibly popular.
Yeah, well, certainly, you know, I think, you know, the F1 certainly will be the big draw. But like I said, you know, we had the European Le Mans series on there the other week, and you know, there's so much events that I mean, there's so many events, you know, that you don't have to just attend one. You can attend multiple events. This is what racing people do, and it gives you a different experience of going to an event. You know, experiencing what the atmosphere is like, especially at the F1. I bet the atmosphere is electric at the F1 event, at the F1 British Grand Prix. It's always a massive draw, you know. And going to a BTCC event, yeah, a lot smaller, but you know, it's a lot different. And trust me, it felt weird stepping into that circuit at the weekend. It really did. So comment down below, guys, if you're attending Silverstone next year for the British Grand Prix or in general, any other event coming up either later this year or in 2026. Certainly be interested to hear what you have to say. In terms of that, though, that really brings us to the end of the podcast tonight. And in terms of, Zach, the big news of the week, certainly in terms of party conference season certainly kicking off. Parliament obviously is not sitting for a few weeks. What would you say the biggest news stories coming up in the next week will be about?
Well, currently we've got the Native General Assembly going on at the moment. There's just a load of stuff going on there, and obviously this weekend there's Labour Party conference to keep an eye out for as well. I mean, the following week will be in the Conservative Party conference. I mean, think about it as well. But yeah, all the UN stuff, I think is gonna, and obviously the Labour Party conference is gonna keep an eye out on, because I think they're the ones we're gonna be sort of talking about over the weekend.
Well, that is certainly it. And that it brings us to the end of the Tonight Show podcast. Thank you so much for watching tonight. Hope you have a great weekend. And we'll see you again next time for another edition of the show. Take care, everyone. From me and Zach here on YouTube. Take care, everyone. Have a good night. Goodbye.